Have you ever wondered if your home could do more than just look good, like actually support your mental health and personal growth? In this episode, I chat with Lisa Morton, a holistic designer, all about how Feng Shui can transform your space and your life. From balancing energies with the 5 elements to simple tips like using color and lighting to shift the vibe, Lisa shares how intentional design can make a huge impact. So whether you want a productive workspace or a cozy sanctuary, this conversation will leave you inspired to rethink your space. If you are new here, you're listening to the How We Get Through podcast, a place for you to feel connected through deep and meaningful conversations with healers from all over the world. I'm your host, Jen, a licensed therapist and founder and CEO of the How We Get Through app. And my mission is to bring you affordable and diverse therapy resources to help you get through the hard stuff, all in one place and at your own pace. Welcome to the How We Get Through community. Welcome back to the How We Get Through podcast. Today we have Lisa Morton on the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me today.
Yes, I'm so excited. We had some technical difficulties, but we have made it. And Lisa, you also have your own podcast, correct?
I do. It's called Feng Shui Living Tips for Busy Women. I love to share easy, quick tips that you can take on like today, tomorrow.
Yes, we need that.
Yeah.
I love
Right.
it. Yes. Yeah. So you are an interior design
Mhm.
and specialize in Feng Shui and looking at the holistic picture of design.
Sure. Yeah. I've been doing interior design for 20 years now, and I did residential. I spent several years doing my dream job, designing private jet interiors, which was
What?
super fun, right? Traveling the world, touching amazing materials, and working with outrageous people. And while this was like such a fun job, I just wasn't fulfilled. And it wasn't until I guess I went through some major health problems of my own, struggling with my mental health. I was in a really, really bad space. I don't think I had the tools needed for that high stress of a job. So I wasn't prepared. I didn't have those tools in my tool belt, right? And then I got to a point where I had to leave, and I started my own business at doing residential design, but I knew I wanted to do more. So I started studying about holistic design and a holistic approach to a space and setting up your space to support your body, to heal your body. And then I went down the feng shui rabbit hole, and it's been transformative and just really it's design, but also really helping people. Like, it's
Yeah.
really just fulfilling. I'm so grateful for the work.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's energy involved, right? And even as you
Mhm.
talk about this, like designing for like jet airplanes, like
Yeah.
private, that is insane. But I can imagine even energetically looking at that, how small that is, how enclosed that is. And then maybe the energy of the people that are wanting maybe outrageous designs or pushing, like what
Mhm.
was the breaking point for you? What were you feeling from the demands of the job?
For me, I mean, there was a lot of hilarious stuff, like, unrealistic expectations. I mean, these are natural materials. We would use carpets that were hand tufted by a man who would use a machine and hand tuff each piece of each rug, right? And so it was just mind blowing to to meet some people's expectations. And being the designer and being a perfectionist myself, recovery perfectionist, I wanted, to please them. I wanted to give them exactly what they wanted, their dream project. And, it wasn't an issue of so say there was a carpet had to be installed in a plane, right? It wasn't like a $3,000 carpet, it was a $30,000 carpet. And we're dealing with an airplane here. There are very, very strict rules, but regarding the materials that can be put in, so they don't go up in flames, right? Like certain materials have to be used, so we have to avoid other materials, and having it handmade, it had to follow the engineering drawings. But if it was off by an eighth of an inch, you had to scrap that $30,000 carpet and start over.
Wow.
It was so intense. It was so much pressure to get just, your seam on the stitching had to be perfect.
Wow.
So it was a thing. I mean, it
Yeah.
was definitely a different world. And it was also a lot of, well, I want to make my plane cooler than my brother's. Well, and I always just wanted people to have more heart.
Yeah.
This is where you're spending your time. Maybe it's not your home and you're not spending, you're not living there. But this is where you're spending time with your friends, your family. You're supposed to conduct business and be mindful. Let's make a space that makes sense, not just is nicer looking than someone else's.
Yeah. Wow. Are they
Yeah.
like, were your customers in America? I just got a flash of, like, Dubai, but were they all over?
I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I went kinda all over,
Okay.
kinda all over the world, really. Yeah.
Wow.
It was nice. It was a great experience. I was when I first started doing this, I wasn't married yet. I was traveling on and exploring the world on someone else's dime. It was great. Great experience for me. But I did learn about the type of design that fulfilled me and the type that didn't fulfill me.
Mm. And really the type of design that isn't fulfilling for other people, but they think it will be.
Bingo. Bingo. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you start into feng shui? How did you start to kind of navigate that journey?
Sure. As I mentioned, I went through my own health and well-being struggles. I got to the point in that job where I was having panic attacks daily. We had this office space, this design room, and there is a closet space where we would store design materials. And I would go in there and just have an outrageous panic attack and just trying to get through the day. And I knew something had to change. And I was doing all the things. I was doing the meditation. I was doing the therapy. I was, eating better. I was walking every day, doing all those things you're supposed to do, but I just couldn't get there. So I knew I just needed a change of pace. And so I left that job and I decided to start my own business doing residential design. We'd also moved to a new city, new state, and just it was a total reset. It actually was really nice. Um, and then as I needed a job, right? So I started doing residential design, but then I really knew I knew we could put more into it. I knew I wanted to put more into it. I wanted to really help people. And so let's see, it was 2014. I started studying one-on-one, probably 2012. And then 2014, I did my first certification in interior alignment feng shui. And then I went on to do an advanced training in 2018. And then this past summer, I became a master teacher of feng shui. So now I get to teach other people and I can certify other people in doing this work.
Awesome.
It's been
That's
this
so
beautiful
cool.
full circle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just, I think, is a testament to how much you love it and how much aligned you are with it.
Yeah, yeah. I had a story, if you don't mind me telling a story
I
real
love
quick.
stories.
I had a woman, this was maybe, um, 8 years ago. I was really trying to decide, do I stick to traditional design, Lisa, or do I go this
Mm.
other route, right? And I wasn't sure, and I was worried, what are people gonna think if I become the woo designer, right? I was all worried. And then I had this woman call me, and she asked me to come to her home, and I wasn't sure what I was in for, but I took my bag with all my swatches, my tape measure, and everything, and I showed up, and we did a quick tour of the home, and then we sat down at the kitchen table. She sat across from me, and she looked me in the eyes and said, "Lisa, I'm dying. I need you to help me set up my space so my children and my husband can go on living once I'm gone." Right?
Oh my gosh.
And like to this day, I get chills.
Mm.
I had to
Yeah.
like regroup and pull myself together. And it was a beautiful, beautiful project. We were able to really, she did need some new furnishings, right? They needed some new flooring. They needed some new sofas and chairs and things. So we did that, but we did that with the intention of creating a safe space, a comfortable space. So we utilized the five element of feng shui. We brought in a lot of earth element for grounding, right? We brought in some wood element for regrowth because she was adamant that she wanted her kids going on and living their lives once she's gone. And it was just a really beautiful process to bring all this together. And for me, it was confirmation that I'm meant to do this. Like
Yeah,
if the universe put us together, then I'm meant to do this. And it's just been going on since then. And now I'm teaching, I'm able, I do a lot of virtual work. So I get to work with people all around the world. And it's
that's
so
cool.
interesting how people live and their different spaces and trends and styles and colors they like. And so it's really cool. An
Wow.
interesting journey. But that one moment, that one client, that one meeting was transformative.
Mhm. Were there any design elements of her I'm, like, so teary thinking about it. Like, were there
I know. I it
but I
it
cry
was, like,
all the
years
time.
before I could tell the story without crying.
Yes. Were there any yeah, like, elements that they wanted of her in the design, or was she like, "I wanna be kind of removed from it, this is for them"? What was her vibe, her
For her,
wishes?
it was for them, but I knew it had to be for everyone. We did a really beautiful intentional, collage wall of all kinds of Oh, here we go, I
Oh
know.
my
We did a
god.
collage wall of all the family events. They like to be active, they like to do things, and the problem was she wasn't able. It'd been 4 rounds of cancer, and she wasn't able to do these things. So she wanted them to, like, really think of all the fun things they did. So we did this beautiful collage while we brought out some beautiful artwork too that they had, like, in a back room. You know how sometimes you take things down, you
Yeah.
throw it in a closet, you forget you have it, but some really intentional things that really shifted the space. So it was balanced because we brought in these beautiful things to make them feel to make them remember their mother as time went on, but we also set them up for this whole process that was going to be very hard for everyone. Just
Yeah.
really wanted to support them.
Wow.
So,
I can
yeah.
imagine. I mean, do you get close to your clients? Like, that feels like a very
Yeah, yeah.
intimate
I
thing
work
to
with a lot of
create.
people going through illness, through
Hmm.
divorce,
Yeah.
a lot of heavy things, and it's such an honor to be able to help them because I know I can, right? Um, I know it makes a huge difference. But on the flip side, so let's make it more fun. On the flip side, I get to work with a lot of people who have amazing things going on. They're moving into their dream home. They're starting their dream business. They're taking on a new something or other, right? And it's a really fun to be a part of that. So
But I love
there's
that
a
it's
balance.
yes, I love that it is both because again, I think it speaks to that energy of transitions or something that needs to be kind of that is maybe shaken up within us internally that needs to be reflected externally and where we are in the world and where we wanna be. So,
Exactly. I mean, that's what I tell people. Your home, so many people think that it's just this place you land at the end of the day and you just crash and go to bed, right? And I get that. But your home is really it can be a template for your tomorrow. It can be a template for your next week, your next year, for like who you want to be, which is really powerful. We're lucky once you can take that on and explore that, you can set up a space to really support you. You do need more grounding in one area because something stresses you out, your office, right? Or do you need, to find extra relaxation in maybe your living room where you sit, relax, and watch TV because you're struggling relaxing, right? When we can influence our bodies through colors, patterns, and textures, it just makes it so much easier.
mhm, I love that. So talk about feng shui, like, what is it and how do you do it?
It's a magic. No.
Master, how do
So,
we do it?
a lot of people think feng shui is really superstition and pat your head, rub your belly, turn around 3 times, and poof, your dream has come true. And it's not. But it is. It's an ancient practice. It's over 4,000 years old and was started in southern China, was first documented there. And it's since shifted off into different schools or sects or styles, but the goal is the same, to create balance in your home. So it's your home structure. It's also the surrounding land around your home. And then we also take into account what your goals are. What are you looking for? What do you need in life, right? How can you be more supported? So we utilize the 5 element system: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And then we also utilize what's called a Bagua map. And this is an energy map that has 9 different energy centers that corresponds to different areas of your home. So to kind of explain this, some people understand like the chakra system of the body. It's kind of like that in a way,
Yeah.
but on your around your home. So say you're looking to improve your relationships with other people. There's an area of the home that we can connect with that. Your health and well-being. There's an area we can connect with that. There's also, uh, wealth and abundance. If maybe you're studying something, you're heading back to school, and there's a great place to focus that on.
Is that the same like, is, like, the kitchen wealth and abundance, is it the same area in each house, or is it the per the layout of the house?
It's per the layout.
Okay.
And so this is what's really important. Everybody wants to read a book. Like, "Oh, I wanna read a feng shui book," which is great, and there are so many great tips, and that's what my podcast is all about. I wanna empower people to realize how easy it is to improve their space and to alter their space to support them. But if you really want to go deep, it's important to look at your specific home because you're okay. So if somebody's like, "Oh, my neighbor says I'm supposed to put a plant wherever." Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, your neighbor has their home layout. Maybe they live in a ranch. Maybe they live on an acre. Maybe they have trees out front. Maybe their home, maybe they have 5 kids and maybe they have, Native American roots and have certain practices or beliefs that, that's their own life. You have a totally different story. You might live in a two-story and have like a little postage stamp lot and right? And maybe you're empty nesters, right? So everyone's home needs to be looked at separately. How your home is laid out, seeing if there's any areas missing. This can be really impactful. And also then how we can enhance it to support what you're looking for in life.
Mm. In the energetic flow of the house, like, I think what I've seen, mainly on TikTok, okay?
Okay, that's
Don't hate
okay.
me, bro.
No, no, no.
Are, like, bed placements around the door. Like, that feels like the or mirrors or things like that. Are those
Yeah.
true?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. A lot of those tips, that's where I'm saying a lot of these tips are really powerful. I mean, if you want to go deep and have major change, you need to really get someone in there to look at your space, to really dissect your floor plan. But there's so many great things. The head, the bedroom is really powerful. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm just sleeping in it." I don't care about that. But if we all know if we don't get good sleep, we're
Yeah.
not going to be able to be ourselves, to be functioning well the next day. So it's important to have your bedroom really support you for restful sleep and your head um, against a solid wall. So we always want a solid wall. We want to put ourselves in the command position. So we have a solid wall and a view of the door. So we don't want the door opposite our feet. We want it off to a side. Okay.
Got
That
it.
will really be able to give your body a sense of protection, but also see. So the ancients believed, back 4,000 years ago when they were doing feng shui and they were living on mountains, they had this mountain behind them to protect them, right? And then they could see any of their enemies coming, right? It just puts our body at ease to put it in this position, which helps us fall asleep faster.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, that makes sense from a nervous system
Right?
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're calming your nervous system down and, telling your subconscious it's okay to go to sleep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, what about mirrors in the bedroom or facing the bed?
So I'm going to pair the mirrors and television. So a lot of people
Okay.
get angry at me because they love their TV at night. And if you really want a television in your room, I always recommend putting it in a cabinet with doors so you can close it. When I go to a hotel, I love one of my guilty pleasures is climbing in bed at a
Oh,
hotel, like a bar of
yes.
chocolate,
Yes.
glass of wine, and I flip through TV because I don't have a TV in my
Yes.
but when I'm ready to go to bed, I always travel with, like, a wrap or a scarf. I always throw the scarf over it because we don't want that reflective quality of the television or the mirror that keeps our body from resting, okay? Also, televisions bring in a lot of different energy. So be mindful of what you're watching. Are you watching a scary movie and then your room and the energy of your body is connecting with a scary movie versus something calming and peaceful? Mirrors reflect and amplify. So what are they reflecting and amplifying? Good things, maybe the piles of laundry that you
Yeah.
have yet to be folded, or is it a nice tidy space? But either way, anything with the reflective quality is kind of frowned upon. And I always tell people try things for 6 weeks. You don't have to commit forever, but I think if you try it for 6 weeks, you'll feel it. So that's my plan is 6 weeks with all my clients, and if they decide they want to move it back, they can move it back. There's no feng shui police, but they will more than likely notice how they feel.
Mhm.
Here's
So
another big bedroom thing, if you don't mind me
yeah,
sharing.
go for it.
It's storage underneath the bed. I see it all the time. People want to
Yeah.
store everything under their bed. They're like, "Oh, it's extra storage space," and I get it. A lot of people are tight on storage. But if you think about sleeping there for 8 hours, hopefully 8 hours a night, you're sleeping above stuff that has meaning, that has symbolism, that can,
Yeah.
you may go to sleep and not see it, but your subconscious knows that, okay, so I had a client who had stacks of books that she wanted to read under her bed. Like you were sleeping on top of a to-do list that you're
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
guilty about that you haven't gotten to. Have this whole story. She was angry at him. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I recommend nothing under your bed. I have one extra blanket for really cold nights, and that's it
Mhm. Okay.
under mine. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then so going back to the mirrors, are you saying
Mhm.
no mirrors anywhere or just
No mirrors.
wow, I love mirrors. I mean,
So
uh,
I love mirrors, just not in the bedroom. So
okay.
place one maybe if needed, in the I have one in my closet.
Closet. Okay.
Right? That works great. A lot of you remember when everybody had the dresser and the mirror on top? It was a
Yes.
90s thing.
Yeah. That
I
was
tell
back.
everyone, get rid of the mirror and put up a beautiful piece of artwork. Something that makes you smile, something that you love, and you won't even miss the mirror.
Mm. Okay, what about, like, mirrors in, like, hallways?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
The only place that we want to be very mindful of placing a mirror is at the front entry. So the front entry in
Okay.
feng shui, the front door. And this is the architectural front door. A lot of people are like, "Well, I use my garage door," but I want you to focus on your front door. This is considered the mouth of chi or mouth of where energy comes into our home. So we want this, we want to draw things in. We want to suck good energy and we want it to come in and fill our home. So when you have a mirror, it will literally just reflect that energy back out. So, oftentimes, people are like, "Oh, I wanna check my lipstick right before I pop outside and, head out somewhere." But that's not the place. If you really want a mirror, maybe inside the coat closet, that's a great way, and then you can close the door and not have it there. But we really want to avoid mirrors at the front door, um, and also make sure you use your front door. That's another big one.
How come?
So again, this is the mouth of chi, right? We want
Yeah.
fresh new energy, fresh new opportunities coming towards us. And if we're always just using our
Sneak it out the
garage door,
back.
then this front door becomes stagnant, which we don't want. So I always tell my clients come up with a plan of how you can use the front door. Maybe you walk your dog out the front door. Maybe you go on your evening walk out the front door. You go get the mail. Like come up with something so you can keep this door opening and closing and keep energy flowing here.
I'm in the trailer on the side of my house, so I usually go through my garage. I go
Okay.
through 2 doors through the garage, and then I have a gate, and then I open this door. So
I love that.
but I could definitely go to the front door and then come around the front.
Yeah, I love that. Just come up with some reason to use it. I mean, I really couldn't find a reason to use my front door, honestly. The mailbox is all the way down the drive, and I always take the dogs out the back. But I walk by every morning. So I walk up to the door, I open it, I stick my head out, maybe go outside if it's nice, and just like take a breath of fresh air and close it behind me.
Yeah. Well, so many people work from home too, that it's like which I think is another important aspect of looking at the energy of your house because we're in it a lot more.
That is so true. That is so true. And a lot of people have noticed a lot and realized how their lives maybe need to shift or how their home needs to be arranged. I know I had a lot of people when everybody was working from home, they loved these open floor plans, but then they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're just on top of one another."
Yes, I was gonna ask you about that. Is there for feng shui, open versus, like, closed spaces? What's the opposite of that? The
So
word.
more, I guess, divided up. I
Sectioned?
don't
Yeah.
know I can't think of the word, it's escaping
Okay.
me, but, um, so we want energy to flow. Think about water. Water is a great way. So if energy is coming in your front door, we want it to flow and meander around. So we do want some things, right? If your home is completely empty and sparse, right, it's not going to flow. It's going to go straight out the back door and be done, right? We also don't want the opposite, where there's so many angles and so many walls and so much clutter that energy can't get through. So we want to find a happy medium when arranging, especially open floor plans. I found it to be very beneficial to have more rounded furniture. It also lends itself to better flow following feng shui. So more rounded, curving pieces. A barrel chair versus a big boxy chair can feel more comfortable. Also, you need to be mindful of the scale, right? If you have an open floor plan, the scale of your furniture needs to match the scale of the room, right? You don't want little wimpy furniture, right?
Right.
And also, if you have, I work with people in small spaces too, in condos and apartments, and they might downsize and they have these grand wingback chairs that take up the entire room, right? We need to have balance of the scale of the item in relation to our room.
Mhm. And then how does that work with the elements part? So there's the energy, there's the flow, and then what are you seeing, I think maybe some trends right now that are people needing more earth elements or more grounding? Are they what's
Yeah.
what's happening in the world?
I mean, everybody needs more grounding these
Yeah.
days.
Yes. Yes.
More earth
Yes.
element.
Yes.
More earth, more earth. But we're actually moving. So, in feng shui, we follow these cycles of nature, right? It's utilizing the five elements, but also there's cycles of everything, right? And we're in fall now, and a lot of people, getting into winter before long. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so stressed out knowing winter's coming. It's going to be a cold winter, and I'm just not looking forward to it. I'm already feeling depressed. And here's something I always tell them that actually really helped myself. It's once you understand that we need those cycles of nature, it's kind of following yin and yang. You wouldn't have daytime if you didn't have nighttime. Like, we need this going within. The flowers have, come back down into the earth and there's the bulb, right? And we're in that season of fall and we're preparing to kind of hibernate for winter, right? But we need this so that we can feel rejuvenated and be ready for the spring energy to grow and be bright and have these bright, beautiful flowers again, right? Our bodies are just like that. We need these cycles. So once you can understand the importance of this cycle to bring balance throughout the rest of the year, then that really helps. For
Yeah.
me, at least, I found some other people, they understand it that way. It just makes it easier. But yeah, grounding is very important right now too. A lot of earth element. Um, so the earth element can be brought in through the colors of beige, tan, brown, cream, chocolate, but then also any uh, thick, chunky textures. Like, I always love to pull out the big chunky throws this time of year, right?
Yeah.
And curl up on the sofa. A lot of textural stuff, but then also squared shapes and anything kind of low to the ground.
Hmm. Do you change your, decor upon an element or a season? Well,
I do.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
think we do that in America,
a lot
but
of people do, right? I mean, we also just a lot. If you think about it, um, I think it's kind of fun thinking about the seasons and decorating for the holidays and stuff like that. And we're bringing in these oranges and browns for this fall. Thanksgiving will be here before we know it, and like all these types of colors, and it's really supporting our body as we're trying to get into this winter mode. And it's kind of been gray out where I
yeah.
live, and it doesn't feel so lush and everything. So it's a gentle way to ease into that. So I think we naturally do a lot ourselves, but once we understand, we can do more. So I decorate for every season. In the summertime, I bring in a lot more blues into my space. It's cooling, it's calming on those high, hot energy days. And then in the wintertime, I get the winter blahs. And so I always bring a lot of fuchsia and maybe pops of red and pops of orange and yellow. Yellow is a really powerful color. But even on my desk chair, I have a bright fuchsia throw that I just leave back there in the winter months. And then I'm feeling extra blah. I'm sitting there typing along and I'll just drape it over my shoulders and see it out of the corner of my eye. And it just helps. It helps so
Lift.
much. It isn't just surrounding your space, but also I believe having it near your body
Mm,
helps. Yeah.
yeah. I feel like color theory for what you wear is like all the rage right now too.
It is, and it's powerful. It's
Yeah.
fascinating, and your home is the same way.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um what about the fire elements? Fire,
Ooh,
water. Can you
yeah.
kind of go through them briefly?
Yeah. So we talked about the metal, the earth element. Spring connects to the wood element. So the wood element is great if you're taking on a new task, starting a new routine, starting a business, starting something new, or you want to grow or expand or reach some goals. If you think about the tall trees growing up to the sky, right? It's onward and upward. So the wood element is great. And a lot of people think brown, but brown connects to the earth element. The wood element is represented by the color green.
Okay.
So any color green doesn't have to be bright green like you see on the trees. Sage greens are so popular right now, and also really deep forest greens. I swear the 90s are back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yep.
the forest greens are really pretty. Um, Also, any type of vertical line. So if you have a throw pillow with stripes, place it vertically. That's a
Mm.
great way. Plants, flowers are a great way to bring in the wood element. And also artwork. So if you don't have a green thumb, that's okay. Maybe a painting of some flowers. That works well. I think back to when everyone was working from home and stuck at home and they all bought 25 different plants
Yes.
for their home. Do you
Yes.
remember?
Yes.
I don't know if
Yes.
you took part in it. I did.
Uh-huh.
I'll admit it. Um, 'Cause it was because we were craving being outside, being connected to nature, getting out of our space. So, the wood element can be really good. I will say this for those of you that bought 25 plants. Too much, we want balance of these 5 elements for the activity happening in the space. So the energy
Right.
of a spa is different energy from, say, Chuck E. Cheese, right? So you have to figure out where on that scale you kind of are. But the wood element's really great, to lift our energy, but too much wood element, too many green plants, 25 plants in one room can actually cause an energy, a feeling of frustration in your body, which is kinda
Oh,
interesting.
interesting.
So I recommend separating them up. There's no reason all your plants need to be in one room. Place some plants in each room. Maybe I always recommend no more than 3 per room, but kinda depending on the size.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's good to know.
So we went through the wood and then the metal element. So I actually designed this space following a lot of metal element for focus. I have this white gray wallpaper behind me with a metal pattern on it, but yet it has a triangular shape, which brings in the fire element to keep me
Yeah.
like awake and focused. But, I mean, I use sleep and breathe and stuff, but it's so powerful and it works. That's why I do it. But, the metal element is great for focus. So if you are having a hard time focusing, you have a deadline, gray, white, pastel is your friend. Even if you have a deadline at work and you work in a cubicle, that's okay. Maybe wear gray. Maybe bring in something you can put on your desk, right? Gray, white, pastel, also any metal object, any
Okay.
color of metal. It can be copper, it can be gold, it can be silver. That will work for the metal element. And then the fire element is really fun. Fuchsia, bright red, triangular shapes, which is kind of cool. If you think of a triangular shape, it looks like a flame, right? It's
Yeah.
white at the bottom and then the flame goes up.
Uh-huh.
So the fire element is like really high energy, lifting the energy of your body, waking you up. Here's where we want balance. Too much fire can cause, we know
You'll
red.
burn.
Yes, red raises our blood pressure. Red does it lifts the energy a lot. So we have to keep it within balance. We want some to wake us up, but
Yeah.
we don't want too much. I actually just worked with someone with a fuchsia bedroom.
The whole
It
thing?
was Yes, it was really cute, and I felt bad, but she was sleeping, and that's why her
Yeah.
body couldn't relax, couldn't come down.
I feel like the color on color has been trending for a while, and it is very cute and very designy. But
It
then
is fun. It is fun. You just have to be mindful of what color you're doing and also bringing in for example, I had a client with a monochromatic scheme that was all white, white room. So that would say a lot of metal, not very much creativity, not very fun people, just really focused,
yeah.
right? Not very flexible type people. That's okay. But that's what that would kind of say. It's not encouraging you to, if they're not going to be an artist, right? Is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Probably, an accountant and calculating numbers, right?
Mhm.
Um, but you need to have balance. So you can do that if you love this like one color kind of scheme or like beige or taupe or whatever you like. Bring in other elements through other things beyond color. So for example, um, patterns or textures, shapes, right? So every element also has a complementary shape. The wood element has those vertical lines. The metal element is represented by circular shapes.
Okay.
The water element is represented by wavy lines. So if you did a monochromatic white room, I would suggest bringing in some sort of wavy pattern to bring in
Yeah.
a water element to loosen it up a bit. Maybe a little bit of fire, maybe a single candle, maybe a pair of candles would be nice. And then also plants. Every room, especially when you're doing one color, needs plants just for that ground, that kind of earthy, just brings life in.
Yeah.
Really.
Can you tell me about my background, what vibes it has?
So I love the green. The green is like a moving onward, upward, wood element, reaching your goals, taking on
Ooh,
new projects, fresh new energy coming towards you. I love your plant too. He's a happy plant. We always
he's
want to
fake,
avoid
he's fake.
spiking. Oh, okay.
I know. I'm not usually one, but I just come in here and work and I had one that yeah, they're all fake. Yeah, they're all fake.
So here's a little thing interesting in feng shui is a lot of uber traditional. I practice a little more westernized version because I believe like we're on the internet, right?
Yeah.
We live in
Uh-huh.
different cultures and melting pot of different people and lifestyles, and we don't live like they did 4,000 years ago. But uber traditional practitioners would say no fake plant that represents a fake energy.
Oh, yeah.
I believe I work with so many people who travel, who have cats, that dig in plants, and the plants, the beautiful silk flowers of today are not like grandma's silk flowers,
That's
right? The
true.
dusty. So if you love it, then that's okay. And that's my whole thing is I it's nice that there are all these rules, but there's a time we have to break the rules, right? If you really love it, then we will break the rules and we'll make it work. But I love your sofa. It has that brown color and it's also kind of more horizontal. So
Oh,
it brings in
yeah.
a grounding energy, which is really important in like a camper or trailer. I work with people who live in their RV full time. And it's really important to have this like low energy to really bring a sense of grounding. Your pillows are kind of aqua,
Yeah.
it looks like. Yeah. So and they're rounded. So it kind of bring in blue brings in the water element for a little creativity and a little focus back there. But then it's so cool you have that pink pop, right? That's a little higher, a little more playful, fun energy. Not quite fiery, but down a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Super fun.
Well,
Yeah.
astrology-wise, I'm all fire, so this feels,
Ooh.
I guess that's the question, like, is designing your home in balance to who you are important?
Definitely, because if it's not in balance to who you are, you're not gonna wanna be there.
Right.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to create it, you and a lot of people to think, "Well, I'm either designing or I'm implementing feng shui," but it can all go hand in hand. We're just selecting maybe a brown sofa versus a green sofa, or a sofa with boxier shaped arms versus a more rounded shaped arm, right? And there's easy ways you can do that. Um, there's also an element too that a lot of people think that if they're going to employ feng shui, that they have to like remodel, invest all this money. And one of my first teachers ever, she had an amazing book and it's not even in print anymore. I dig at the old used
Wow.
bookstores for old copies of it, but it's feng shui with what you have. And this really set me on this path because I want to help people know that they can adjust and improve their space without spending a lot of money. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Like I said, a lot of people have stuff in their closets, and I'm like, just
Yeah.
shop your home. You
Yes.
probably have something you need,
Or even just rearranging things.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just simply rearranging, sometimes taking a chair from like one direction and turning it just a bit can completely transform the energy and make you feel settled and comfortable where you didn't feel before.
Are there any trends that go against feng shui that feel like do you ever work with clients like, "I love this trend, I need this," or you ever see something you're like, "Oh, no, that is terrible for feng shui?"
The only thing that's really stuck out to me in recent years are these light fixtures, and there's a name for them, but it looks like a starburst.
It's like a pendant?
It's a pendant that comes down and it looks like a starburst. It looks super cool, but
Like, it
here's
has
the thing,
different arms that come
different
out.
arms that go
Okay.
in different directions, and it
Yeah.
looks super cool. And I keep seeing different variations of this, right? And different like arms coming out, and it looks really cool. I get it. I get the appeal of it. But in feng shui, we have this thing called a poison arrow. So this is when we have a point coming towards our body for a long period of time. That it's like like coming towards our body. That doesn't put our body at ease, right? Like I said, we want those soft, rounded shapes, not harsh angles, which would be a poison arrow. And so we want to eliminate these if possible. So those interesting, cool light fixtures are not putting your body at ease. The other big no-no, which I try to tell, I hate telling people you have to get rid of something, right? That's not what
Yeah.
I want to do. It's not what I'm about. It's let's rearrange, let's figure out how we
Yeah.
can make it work.
But
But
also,
but
they don't know.
cactus are just not our friend. Cactus
Oh,
are
yeah.
cool. They are not our friend because think of all the little poison arrows, all those
Wow.
points coming at. So my sister-in-law actually had this in her foyer, a picture of my two nieces, my beautiful little nieces, and they were little, and then this cute cacti. And I walked in one day and I was like, the cacti is cool, but not next to those three little girls. I'm like, we got to remove this. We got to put it somewhere else. And I let her move it to another location, but not in the entry and not next to child energy of children, right? Um, so those are my
The 2 big ones.
the
Yeah.
two big ones. I guess I'll tell you my third big one that I see a lot. If I had a dollar for every time I saw a Peloton in a bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not
Yes.
nixing Peloton. It's just the brand I always see because it's so
Yep.
popular. Our bedrooms are a place for sleep and rest, and maybe a little romance, but they're not the place for a high energy activity such as working out. I also see a lot of laundry. That's a to-do list, right? We want very calming in your bedroom. Maybe you want to journal, maybe meditate, maybe some gentle yoga, but we don't want these high energy activities in our bedroom.
Yeah.
So get the treadmill out, get the bike out. There's better, more appropriate places for this.
And even, like, a lot of computers, I think a lot of people work in their bedroom as well.
Mhm. Yeah, but that's something that's been um hard in recent years. I've worked with a lot of people to set up home offices, and that can be a huge shift in your space. It can be a huge shift in your head, right? To set yourself up to work this way. Um, it definitely, I mean, I can't tell you how many people needed help. They weren't getting focused, they weren't getting their work done, and they're sitting at the dining table next to their kids who are trying to do school, and
Yeah.
somebody else is trying to eat, and you need a dedicated space, and we got really creative. You know, I work with people with small spaces, apartments, condos sometimes, and we I know we turned a couple closets, like bifold door kind of closets, into office spaces.
Oh,
And
smart.
then once we wanna set we took the doors off, and then we hung drapery panels there so they
Yeah.
could close it, but it looked really cute.
I love that.
It was a
Yeah.
really fun way, but it was I love helping people set up home offices just because I've had my home office for so long, and I've done it on my own, and I find it fascinating how we can help ourselves be more productive and more focused, and it's it's fascinating once you learn about these little things you can do. Like, one thing I always share is set up a routine. And really, like, when I walk in my office, I turn the light on, I go over and open the blind, I light the candle, I turn on my music, I sit down in my chair. So at the end of the day, I push my chair in, blow out my candle, turn off my music, close the blinds, turn off the lights, and close the door. And when you get your body into this rhythm, you walk in, eventually, you'll walk in and be like, oh, I'm just in work mode. Like, my head
Right.
is there, right? And then there's a whole other problem at the end of the day where you need to get out of work mode because I know how hard it can be to be like, I'm just gonna run back up and do one more email, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then my husband's downstairs, like, are you ever gonna be done working? Right? And it can be hard. So if you set up that routine, it can be really helpful to cue your body into work and cue your body out of work.
I love that. Okay, what about lighting? Like overhead lighting versus I know we talked about the pointed poison arrow, but the um like the light not lightness, the harshness, I guess, of
Yeah.
lighting versus like softer lighting, does that matter?
Sure. I think we all feel better in warmer light than cooler light. I always kind of call cooler light hospital glow.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
The warmer really just warms up our body. I love a more of a sunlight for big lamps when you need to see things on a cloudy day. But it's also nice to have smaller lamps, maybe a desk lamp or a decorative lamp just for extra lighting, um, to have that warm glow. And this is something, if you work in a cubicle, take a lamp with a warm white bulb. You probably have those
Yeah.
fluorescents overhead. They're so bright, they're so white, they don't make you feel good. And putting just a small lamp on your desk with that warm glow can just really warm up your body.
I love that.
Mhm.
Okay, let's do
Okay.
I wanna do like a quick I don't know. I wanna do color I wanna switch to color theory real quick and
Mhm.
maybe go room by room of what the best color would be
Ooh.
for the activity of that room.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes. How fun.
I know.
Okay.
There are no wrong answers here.
Well, let's start with the bedroom.
Okay.
So, following feng shui, the best colors for a bedroom to put your body at ease are the colors that are closest to skin colors.
Oh,
So, cream, ivory, beige, peach, apricot, tan, brown, chocolate.
okay.
And then I also like to use soft blues.
Mm,
This isn't exactly following feng shui, but I'll also use some soft greens. One of my favorite colors to use in a bedroom, it's called sea salt from Sherwin-Williams, and it's the most beautiful pale aqua, and as you go through the day, it changes colors. So
oh,
in
that's
the
fun.
that bright light, it's aqua, and then at night, when you have the lamps on, it kinda turns sage green, and then when it gets nighttime out and the lamp, it's just the lamps, it turns to a gray, and it's really
Wow,
beautiful.
that's cool.
So, there are certain other colors. I have also used a really soft blush color in a bedroom, so those are really good. I love to use in the dining room or a kitchen. I mean, I feel like our kitchens are more communal spaces now. That's where we host people, and that's where we all stand around the island eating everything, right?
Yep.
And drinking and laughing and talking. So, the kitchen, those areas where you want to entertain, maybe serve a really great fun dinner or you're hosting a holiday dinner. Bring in the colors, and it's appropriate for this time of year, but like oranges and yellows and browns because it will help people feel grounded, but also lift their energy. Yellow is a great color to place. Yellow is the ideal color following Feng Shui to place in the centermost area of your home. So if you're looking down at a floor plan drawing of your home, find the center, and yellow is the ideal color to place there. Yellow connects to the earth element, but what's really cool about yellow is it's grounded, but also lifted energy, right? It's not chocolate brown, the depths of chocolate, milk chocolate brown. It's lifted. So yellow is really great for that. Activities,
What about
I guess
living
active
room?
rooms, living rooms. Um, I do a lot of yellows, a lot of greens, soft greens. Um, you can do blues in here. I don't love bright red or bright oranges, right? Because living rooms is also where we host a lot of guests. And if you want to create the space for you and your family, but you also want to be mindful if a guest is going to feel miserable,
Yeah.
and anxious in your red room, they're not going to come back over.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. Yeah. Bathrooms are typically there's a lot of water element already in bathrooms, so we don't always wanna make them blue and add to more water. I love to bring in a wood element, so a plant in bathrooms or the green coloring, a beautiful green color on the walls. Yellows are also neutrals,
Mhm.
peachy, orangey colors, browns. Bathrooms, you can get away with a lot. I just recommend no excess blue
Blue.
unless, if you really love blue, we'll figure out a way to do it. But
Yeah.
I did want to mention a big trend we're seeing are these dark, moody colors.
Mhm.
We kind of joked about the 90s
Yeah.
hunter green, right? And burgundy. Burgundy is everywhere.
Yes.
I love this trend. It's really fun. So when we look at these deep, moody colors like navy blue, hunter green, charcoal, burgundy, maroon, it has the season of winter kinda connected,
Yeah.
like that time where we go within. Like, during wintertime, I like to curl up on my sofa, and I don't wanna go out a lot, right? And those colors kind of encourage that feeling, so you're not gonna feel the most motivated to get things
Right.
done, right? And get up and go do your things and go exercise and do the things you need to do and run your errands. You're gonna wanna, like, stay in that room. So it's important if you do wanna take on those bold, moody colors to bring balance. I love to bring that middle ground of, like, caramel or, like, a camel color. It's really pretty, and then you can add some pops of some lighter colors too.
Cute. I do. Oh, I
Yeah,
love that. I
it's
think you're
fun.
right. That's how like, especially when they do tone on tone, it's almost like the ceiling is burgundy, the walls are
Mhm,
burgundy, the trim's burgundy, and it looks so beautiful and very cozy right now. But like in
mhm.
summer, that feels too heavy for me, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's cool to take on these trends, but you need to be very mindful of how that's going to impact your body. I'm actually working on a class that I'm gonna do in January all about all these current design trends and, like, what you can expect, how they're going to affect your body, because people need to know this before they go and, like, paint their
Right.
color drench their room in green. How is that going to affect their body and their nervous system?
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, 2 more rooms. What
Okay.
about the office?
My favorite color for an office is yellow.
Yeah, there's a lot of yellow.
So here's the thing, because it's a great color, it's grounded, which we need so much of, but also lifted energy, right? I
Okay.
had a home we moved into years ago, and it was yet the room I was going to use as my office was yellow, but I'm like, "I'm not a yellow person." But I moved in, I'm like, "I'll figure out the paint color later. I have work to get done. I'm gonna set up my office, do my thing, and then I'll figure it out." And the more time I spent in there, the more I found myself productive and focused. I loved that office. I don't have a yellow office now, my office is green, but it was really good for me. especially after, when you go through a move, it's stressful and you're worrying about everything in the house, but then you have to work.
Yeah.
So yellow can be really good for that. I also love green. If you do struggle with focus, gray or white or a pastel color.
Okay. What about children's rooms, like young kids and then teens? Because I feel like they might need something different, but I'm not sure.
So often we see bright primary colors for kids, bright red, bright yellow, bright green. This intensity of a color isn't always calming to all children. Some children love that, others don't. I recommend going softer. I always recommend going a softer tone. So if you look at it, I don't have a fan deck here with me, but if you look at a paint fan deck, you spread them all out, there's the bright, bold colors. And then there's some that have like a grayed out kind of sense, like in the middle. And that's where you need to go because that will help them settle and relax. So I had a client years ago who called me and they had a daughter who wasn't sleeping in her room.
Oh, right.
Every
Yeah.
night she would just if she did fall asleep in her room, she'd wake up screaming. She was 6 and she'd had a lot of, health issues, and so they were letting her still sleep with mom and dad, but it was causing problems, right? And when she wasn't with mom and dad, she'd go sleep with the older sister. So they called me, and we'd actually worked together in a few other things, and then we talked about this room. And the mom had also told me that when the little girl was really young, she'd had multiple surgeries. And the very first time she had surgery, the mom said, I told the doctors I wanted to be there when she woke up, so I would be right there. I told her I would be there, and I promised her I would be there. And I wasn't there. They didn't get me in time.
Oh,
And so the little one woke up scared, terrified, crying, understandably. So I walk into her room. It's neon green and bright pink everywhere.
wow.
So if you think about a little one waking up from surgery, bright
Yeah.
lights, bright reflections, scary brightness, and then so much pink. I mean, it was cute, right? I
Yeah.
get these lime
Yes.
green and pink bedrooms. It's really cute, but this wasn't supporting her. So we toned it down. We did like a off-white color on the walls. We did a soft sage green color in there, and then a softer pink. So we could still work with those colors, but just revamp them because no wonder she was waking up
In a
in her
panic.
room
Oh,
terrified.
yeah.
It was so sad. So it was really
Wow.
fascinating to help her with this. And
Yeah.
yeah, she's doing well. She's sleeping in her own bed.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah. I
her
mean,
mother's very happy.
yeah. It's just so interesting to think that there's so much more than just design, and you'll feel that in your own room or in your own home and when you go to other people's homes too. Of like,
Mhm.
do I feel at home here? Does this feel weird? Does this feel
Yeah.
rigid? Does this feel like there's a flow here? And so it's just super important to kind of keep track of that.
You'll also notice too, I find really interesting the minimalism versus maximalism because
Yeah.
those both are like opposite trends, but they're both popular. I lean a little more minimalism, but then I have a friend who is like a maximalist, like fuchsia sofas and like I mean it's beautiful, but I couldn't live there. I can't spend a long period of time there. I need more clean lines and just I need a different vibe. So that's really interesting to see. Um, I also say too, if you're not sure how people are receiving your space, and again, we always want to design it for us, but if you're not sure how they're receiving it, how they're feeling when they walk in the door, then I have an experiment I send all my clients to do,
Uh-huh.
and that is to go walk around the block, get some fresh air, you know, go to the store and grab a coffee, come back, get really grounded, take some deep breaths, and then I want you to walk in your front door as if you were a guest. Walk into the front door and see what you see because we don't even see our space anymore. We go to, say, a hotel, we look at the carpet. Oh, wow, look at the wild pattern on the carpet. Oh, look at the artwork. That's really interesting. And oh, those draperies. And then you open it up and look at the view. But we don't do that to our own home. So
Yeah.
when you can slow down and walk in and see, just be curious where your eye goes first when you walk in. What do you see? Where do your eyes go? What are you drawn to? What direction are you drawn to as you enter?
Mhm. That's so interesting because I went to, my parents are moving and there's like new luxury apartments by our house. And so I went with them. And of course, it's the model homes.
Yeah.
But we walked into the second one and I was like, I love this. And I was almost getting teary. I was like, what is happening right now? But it was like chocolate browns and very soft, like plush like, textures and
Nice.
maybe it was the layout, I don't know, but I was like and I've never felt like I've had that experience before. I'm like, "What is" and then I had to, like, pick this apart. I'm
Wow.
like, "I don't really love brown. Why am I so
Wow, I love
loving this
that.
space?" Yeah. It was
You know what would be
overwhelming.
interesting is go back and take some photos
Mm,
and then go, with fresh eyes, like a day later, look at the photos and see exactly what was there. And maybe you'll see those things that really cued your body to like
yeah.
drop your shoulders and take a deep breath,
Mhm.
be drawn in.
That's a good idea. And I think you could wonder if you could do that at the stores, you know? Like, I mean, it's kind of chaotic, like, if you go to IKEA or, like, a furniture store. And that was like, I was walking into somebody's warm home and I was like, "Can I live here? This is great." Oh my gosh, so
That's
interesting.
funny. I
Yeah.
love it. That is a great way to get inspiration is go to look at some model homes and see, even go to IKEA and walk through the displays just to get a little inspiration
Yeah.
of what you like, what makes you feel good. You do not trends are fun, but you do not have to follow any trend. They're just simply there for a little inspiration, a little fun, something to think of. Am I ready to refresh? Maybe this is what I want to do. But I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to be trendy or follow a trend. You need to design a space that you love.
Mhm. Yeah. Mm. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on the show. Can you please just, talk about how people can work with you and what that looks like?
Sure. So you can go to my website. It's purelivingwithlisamorton.com. You can find me on social media too. But I offer an hourly virtual, and if you live in Northern Indiana, I would love to come and see you from Chicago, Indianapolis, and an online or virtual or in person consultation. I do a lot of virtual work, feng shui work, because it's now, I mean, I can go to Google Maps, I can get floor plans of your home. We can, it's amazing the amount we can get just from working virtually that I don't have to be in the space. Um, I offered that. I also do distance energetic space clearings, which is
Mm,
it's pretty woo.
I love it.
But it's um I probably do more of that than anything else. Uh,
Yeah.
it's since I really got into feng shui, I really learned to you find my intuition and connect with that. And so I do these beautiful space clearings to reset the energy of our home. So
Yeah.
before a big event in your life, or maybe you just bought a new home and you want to rinse out the energy of the space before you move your family and your belongings into it.
My gosh, why don't we talk more about that? Dang.
I'd love to be
I
another
love
day.
that. Yeah.
It,
That's so
it's really
cool.
it's a beautiful work. So,
Yeah.
but then I also really excited about my trainings. I started a school called Elevated Living School. It's elevatedlivingschool.com, where I'm listing all of my classes. I'm getting ready to do an interior design basics class. If you're building, remodeling, and just want to know those few basic things you need to know, that's what that is about. My next feng shui certification is in May, kicks off in March. The
Cool.
retreat portion is in May. So, so many amazing things. And
Yes.
I feel so grateful to be in this point in my life and my career that just to be able to do this.
Well,
Yeah.
it's what you're here to do. So thank you for
Thank
listening.
you.
Yeah. All right, Lisa, we'll put all of that in the show notes as well. And thank you so much for coming on. It was so great. Now I'm like racking my brain of how I got to change my house. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you guys so much for listening to our show. We greatly appreciate the community that we are making here. If you love what you're hearing, please give us a review up on Apple Podcasts, as that helps our little show grow. And we'll see you next time.